Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Oh, wait, it's not morning. Well, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you. Well, it is morning in many places in the world right now, just not for me because it is 12:30 here. Not that it matters because you could be watching this on a completely different day at a completely different time, but here I am, and I do want to welcome you to another Me First Mornings, or in today's case, Me First Afternoons. And I just want to say hi. I am your host, Patricia Ribeiro Wolfson. I'm an intuitive coach, a energy practitioner, and a life strategist. And I'm here to give you hope to show up and shine your light as yourself, right? Your authentic self. That's the goal. That is what I'm going to try to do for you. And I am going to give you tips and tools and strategies to show up in the world exactly as you feel aligned with. All right. So today, yesterday was the new moon in Cancer. And so yesterday's episode was not in line with the other things we've been talking about this week, because this week I launched the 7-step series, or I should say the 7-episode series on healing your emotional wounds. And so on day one, which I believe was Monday, yes, we covered how to name your emotions. Step 2, we talked about how to validate your emotions. And today is step 3, and we're going to talk about introspection so we can get down to the deeper level of those emotions and maybe what they mean, what they're trying to tell you. Because of course, emotions are energy in motion, and we want to recognize what that energy is that is making us react, that is maybe giving us a reaction, or giving us information which is causing us to react in a way that we feel uncomfortable. So let's get down to the root of that discomfort so that we can acknowledge that energy, of course, with naming it and validating it, but then also transmute it and move forward, which is what we're going to deal with for the other episodes, right? And the other steps. If you're watching, say hi. I'm really excited about doing this because this step, the introspection part, really goes hand in hand with me first. And that sort of healing process. When I talk about me first being an acronym and the channels that we need to look at, right? M being momentum, E being energy, F being focus, and I being inner work. So the inner work of the me first method and the introspection in this 7 steps to healing your wounds go hand in hand, right? Because it is about doing the inner work and doing the introspection and understanding why you are reacting to certain things, why you have resistance to taking steps or making choices that are in alignment with you, but you still may have trouble doing it, even if it's the best thing for you. And so that's what this work is meant to help you with. It's meant to help you get down to the root of it so that you can release the resistance and make those choices and take that action that you need so that you can exist in the world in alignment with who you really are, right? With who you really want to be, with that sense of self that makes you feel fulfilled and connected to your spirit. Okay, so we're going to start by doing our little warm up or our little ritual. I don't know. I call it different things all the time. People just bear with me and try not to judge. Okay, this is a judge-free zone, just in case you guys didn't know that. Okay, lighting the candle. Still coconut body butter scent. And all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 deep breaths together. Feel free to let me know. Oh, this candle. You know, these candles just don't burn well. I'm going to have to get new candles. The wicks don't last. I don't know. Okay, so we're going to take 3 deep breaths together, and this is how we're going to do it. When you inhale, I want you to imagine all the love, light, and life force energy coming in and just bringing it all in and spreading it throughout your body so that it hits every single cell. and dissolves and dissipates any stuck or stagnant energy. And when you exhale, you're going to release it and allow Mother Nature to go ahead and transmute that energy and give it to whatever needs it in our ecosystem. Okay. All right. So we're going to do this 3 times. Take a deep breath in, hold. While you're holding, you're imagining that that energy is just eliminating that energy that you don't need, and the exhale releases it. Okay, here we go. One deep breath at a time. I don't know what I was trying to do with that. Okay, deep breath. Let's go. And hold. And release. Okay, let's take another deep breath. Olá, Ana. Beijinhos para ti hoje. Welcome to anybody who's watching. Okay. Deep breath in and hold. And release. Okay, and we're going to do it one last time. Take another deep breath and really make it count, bringing in that life force energy, just like, grabbing onto it and letting it just dissolve anything that doesn't serve you from this point onward in your journey and releasing it. Let's make this one count, okay? And hold. And release. Okay, now we're gonna do a little stretching, right? Because we really want this little morning ritual to help us get into our body. Okay, I know it's not the morning, just bear with me, people. Um, some mornings are harder than others. Okay, but I want you to keep stretching. Maybe any tension, we want to release tension. We want to pay attention to any pain you might be having, right? And stretching it gently, maybe to send some energy, healing energy, or life giving breath to those parts that have pain. Okay. And you just stretch gently, however you can. Okay. Now we shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Let's go. Okay. So now we're calling in our spiritual support team because that's fun and we need them. I know I need my spiritual support team like every day. And it's a way that I, reach out and call out to my husband who's on that other side and be like, babe, help me out. But I do it in a much more formal way. All right. So here we go. If you want to just take a moment and say a prayer or call in your spiritual support team in a way that feels connected to your spiritual beliefs, then you go right ahead and do that too. Okay. Divine Mother, Infinite Father, Creator, Ascended Masters, Archangels, Spirit Guides, Ancestors, and all beings of 100% pure white light. Allow me to be a clear and open channel of your light and love without hesitation or ego. May the highest vibration of love and light connect with my higher self and release any and all things that no longer serve me. I ask that Saint Germain and his infinitely powerful violet flame burn away the things that no longer serve myself or humanity and hold us back from our divine existence. Thank you, thank you, thank you for helping us all set an intention that is in alignment with our highest selves for the highest and greatest good of all. Thank you for showing us the signs and synchronicities and messages in nature, music, movies, in the cards that I pull, and the words people say today and always. I appreciate you, I serve you, and I'm grateful for any wisdom you may have for me or the collective on this day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it, and so it is. All right. Whew. Okay, so now I want you to just take a moment and set an intention or, reflect on your GPS word. And while you do that, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel and ding that little notification bell so that you know when I'm going live, which is usually Monday to Friday, typically in the mornings, although sometimes not. So you better ding that bell so that you know when I do come on because I need to work on my consistency. I shouldn't say that. I am consistent, just not at the same time. Whatever. Okay. All right. So I also want to remind you that my calendar is open if you'd like to book a personal session, a reading, a couples session, strategy session, or pulling cards. Then go ahead and book yourself an appointment through my calendar. The link is in the description. And don't forget to download your free guide. It's a transformational guide, and that'll give you some tips and tricks and sort of the foundational sort of energy hacks that I use here on Me First Mornings, and hopefully it will be useful for you too. Okay, so let's talk because I want to get right down to business. I want to help you uncover the roots of your triggers, okay? Because doing this work is essential for lasting emotional healing. We are always doing inner work, right? At least I feel like we're always doing inner work. And no matter how much inner work you do, there's always more to do, right? Like we deal with things in layers. And as things come up, as we're triggered, as we have faced challenges in our life, it's another opportunity for us to reflect on our perspective, reflect on our reactions, reflect on the things that are coming up for us. And it's really important, right? And so, this healing series or this series, I'm talking about a very specific approach that I use, and I will be doing a workshop very soon, maybe this month. I'm not sure, but I have to put it together. Where I will take you through each step in like one fell swoop versus in, parts on the show. But I really feel that this is important and I want to talk about it as much as possible because I want to give you the tools for free to help you navigate any sort of um, emotional triggers that come up for you, any experiences that you're having that you feel like you need to process. I want to give you the tools that I have, as far as I know, and as far as I've used myself and my clients that work. Now, I do want to put in a disclaimer that if you are navigating through serious trauma, then I encourage you to please go out and find a trauma informed therapist or, coach or someone who is specifically trauma informed. That is not me. Although I can help you in whatever way I can help you, I do not have um, I have not taken trauma informed classes. And I think that it's very important that if you're dealing with significant trauma, that you go through that channel because you deserve to be witnessed and held in with people who know what they're doing in that sense, right? Because it can be very different for people who are dealing with serious, serious trauma. Okay. However, if you feel like what I'm sharing helps you in any way, please reach out and let me know or, send me people who you think I can help because that is my goal is I want to support you, support anybody out there that's going through a difficult time that is having, that's going through a big transition in life or that's really just having a hard time with all of the challenges that are coming up and maybe want a little support in how to navigate those things, right? So that not everything creates a big reaction, right? We want to try and navigate those things. Okay, so let's talk about what this step is, what the introspection is, right? Because, like I said, hold on, guys, I'm sorry. I have notes because there's things that I want to cover. So I'm just pulling up my notes to make sure that I cover everything. Okay, so once you've named and validated your feelings, okay, we're talking about the introspection part, right? So this step 3 is introspection because we have to take a look at everything, right? You named it, you validated it, but we need to go even deeper with awareness and labeling, right? We need to go even deeper with where has this come up before? Where have I experienced this before? And I know we touched upon it on the earlier episodes, but I have it as its own step because you really need to take your time with this. And I have some journaling questions that we're going to go through and hopefully get some guidance on, okay? Now, whenever you're in a situation where you get triggered, right? And so, as I explained before, a trigger in this sense, in the context that I'm talking about, is something happens and then you have a reaction you have an emotional reaction that maybe you're uncomfortable with, right? And those emotional reactions that I'm talking about are perceived as negative, but are not negative, right? Emotions are just emotions. They're not positive or negative. They're simply your body reacting. They're information that your body is giving you about what is happening, right? And so you want to go deeper because you want to know what is the wound, and it's usually something from childhood because that's where all of our trauma really happened. And you don't have to have experienced abuse for this to be the case. It can simply be like any trauma. The way our brains interpret trauma is when something happens that is different from what we were expecting. And of course, depending on how different that thing is or how much it sort of shakes our perspective, it can leave a mark, and that mark can be perceived through the body as trauma, right? And that trauma can cause an emotion, right? An energy in motion that reacts to whatever that trauma is. And so, what I want to help you with is to start looking at things in that way, critically and scientifically or analytically, so that you can remove the emotion and look at it strictly from the perspective of what do I need to know about this? What it that I'm really reacting to, right? Where has this come up before? And how can I shift my perspective or change my reaction or shift my interpretation of this event in such a way that I can make a different choice or take a different action the next time I am faced with this challenge or with this person or with this situation? Okay. And that's the goal. The goal is for us to go deeper and figure out what is really going on at the root, right? Because just like anything, when you have an argument with somebody, if you are married and, you get pissed off that your spouse has not, helped in the kitchen or, you're overwhelmed with everything. At the end of the day, your reaction, your anger, for example, is triggered because of a deeper, right, emotion or a deeper wound that is connected to feeling abandoned, right? Not necessarily, but it can be a trigger that's connected to you feeling abandoned, like you never have support. It can be a wound that's connected to your validation or lack of validation, where you feel that no one ever sees you, no one ever helps you, no one ever supports you, right? So that's what we want to figure out as much as possible. Like sometimes we can't figure it out. Sometimes we have an idea of what it could be, and that's enough, right? Even if you can get like past the first layer, even if you can just connect the first memory that you had that might be connected to that, it's like peeling the onion, right? So the first layer of it is this person was mean to you. The second layer of it is that that person reminded you of your best friend in grade school who, you know, ditched you, okay, for someone else, right? So then deeper than that, that could have been evidence that you were unloved and maybe you have, other stories about that. And so you may not necessarily be able to get to the true root, like that first wound. But if you can start to slowly peel away the layers and recognize what evidence that has given you, right? How these situations and interactions or challenges have continually supported maybe your limiting beliefs about yourself or your limiting beliefs about how life works, right? Recognizing what it is on its own can help sort of separate you, can help you become the observer of the whole situation so that you can potentially look at it from a different perspective, so that you can potentially release any anger or hurt you have about it and look at it from a different angle, having better tools of support to move through it the next time. Okay, let me look. All right. Let's talk about these journaling prompts, okay? So I do give the journaling prompts. I'm not a huge journaler, even though I really love writing. And very often, that is where I do a lot of my healing without even realizing, is when I just sit and start letting it flow. Okay. That may be the case for you. I encourage you to keep a journal. I encourage you to Write it down if that helps you. And if it doesn't, just think about it. That's the best advice that I can give you. As long as you are walking yourself through this process, whether you write it down or not is irrelevant, right? Although I will say, and I've said it before, when you write things down and when you allow like that connection of pen to paper, and I do mean pen to paper and writing it down, there is something healing that happens, right? There is that connection of body, mind, and spirit, right? That connects you. And so it may help you even more, right? That's the ideal condition. But if it's not something that comes easily to you, if it's something that's just going to frustrate you, then don't do it. Simply think about it. Okay. So here are the things that I want you to think about and the questions that I want you to ask yourself when you are faced with a trigger that um, creates some type of emotional response that makes you or others uncomfortable that maybe you want to learn about and process, okay, in a different way. All right. So the first thing is I want you to ask yourself, what about this bothers me? Right. And that's usually pretty easy to get down to. Like, somebody is rude to you, or maybe somebody canceled on you, right? Like you had plans with somebody and they cancel on you. And for some reason, you're just really annoyed. Okay. And you think about it and you're like, it's not really that big of a deal, but something about it really pisses you off. And you just can't help being pissed off. All right. So this is when you start going through these steps in this journaling, or at least these steps with this thought process. Okay. What about this bothers me? Right? What about this bothers you? Is it that you feel like you're not important to this person? Is it you feel dismissed? Is it that you feel abandoned? Is it, like this person is always ditching plans with you to go with somebody else, or always canceling with you to do something else so you don't feel important or validated or a reciprocal energy with that person? These are things you need to consider and write it down. Allow yourself to process and really think, like, what's really upsetting me about this? Now you move on to the second journal prompt, right? Why am I reacting this way? Like, why am I so angry? What about this angers me? And here's a little hint, okay? Because each emotion is connected to something underneath. And very often anger is I like to say, the older brother of sadness, right? So anger steps in when sadness has not set up boundaries to protect themselves, right? Anger steps in as the protective older brother. I'm just saying older brother. It can be older sibling. It can be, older. I mean, I say older because it's sort of that energy of someone who is looking out for you and taking care of you. So your anger comes out when you feel like you need to be taken care of and you're not being taken care of. Okay. Sadness can happen when we feel betrayed and we don't have the fight in us, right? There are a lot, jealousy can happen when we feel ignored, right? When we feel like that feeling of like, I never get things my way. It's always other people getting it and I never get it, right? So I want you to go as deep as possible into why exactly this is the emotion you're feeling. Why is this the reaction that you're having? Okay. And then what does that bring up for you, right? The third question, the third journal prompt, or the third thing you need to think about is why? Not just why, but what is it bringing up in you? What stories are coming up? What is this evidence for? Right? So it's like, oh, again, this person left me because I'm always abandoned. Oh, again, somebody says they're going to do something but don't follow through, right? Which is evidence, or it's part of the evidence you've collected to prove to yourself that you are unworthy, right? And that's what really ends up happening with all of these triggers, all of the challenges that create these emotions that you might be uncomfortable with. It's because you're uncomfortable with it because it makes you feel like the thing that you believe that you believe deep inside, that's like, maybe it's a secret belief, maybe it's not a secret belief, but it's a limiting belief and it's preventing you from growing. It's preventing you from just accepting love, right? And support, because that belief exists. And that belief may be, I don't deserve support. I'm stupid. I'm never going to get anywhere. Or, whatever the inner critic says. And that's the important thing, right? The these triggers happen and you have these reactions because they are evidence that prove your inner critic correct, right? And so, of course, it angers you because you don't want the inner critic to be correct, right? Deep inside, we don't want the inner critic to be correct because the inner critic is telling us how terrible we are, how awful we are at things, how we don't deserve things. So we need to silence that inner critic by shifting the narrative, right? And we can't shift the narrative until we fully understand what the narrative is and why it exists, right? So that's getting down to the bottom of it. What does this bring up for me? Oh, when I was little, nobody used to pick me for sports. So when somebody, cancels plans on me, it makes me feel like that little kid that never got picked for anything. Oh, okay, but is it true? Am I someone who's not worthy of being chosen? Right? And that's like another piece, right? Which is it true? You have to ask yourself, is this true? Right? Or is it just true in this situation? Is it just true in this relationship? Is it just true in this moment? Right? Because we're not always the same. We're constantly evolving. And depending on the situation, the circumstances, the energy, different things can happen even with the same kind of situation. All right. And again, the fourth journaling question, again, it just meant to take you deeper and deeper, which is, where have I had this experience before? Where have I experienced this feeling before? So you can think like, when else was I this angry? Or when else was I this jealous? When else was I this sad? Right? And really take some time to write down all of the situations that you can think of, because like I said, it's like peeling the onion. Oh, I felt sad in this. Oh, I felt sad with this situation. And I felt sad with this situation. But be careful, because you don't want to make it so that you are collecting the evidence of that limiting belief, because the idea is we want to go against it, right? We want to switch it and change it. We want to reinvent the narrative. We want to change our perspective so that you're not constantly going down that road. Okay. And that is the key. So today, I want you to please take some time and journal through these emotions. I want you to ask yourself these questions. And I want you to get down to the bottom of why you are feeling the things that you've been feeling, why these emotions are coming up for you. So hopefully you can start to pinpoint it and then transmute it. And that may help you make a different choice or take a different action. Okay. Now, I just realized what time it was and I am running a little late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a card and see what the universe has to tell us about the introspection and how we can really shift our energy, right? How we can really heal those emotional wounds through that inner work, right? So what is the advice that Spirit has for us? No advice? Really? Nothing? Come on, give me one. Give me one piece of advice. There we go. One, just one. Oh, okay, we got a pop-up. Happy. Okay, the number of the card is number 26. 6 and 2 is 8. 8 is the number of abundance. Okay, so what is our message here? Introspection. Okay, this is like what we're doing is because what we want to feel is happiness. What we want to be connected to is what fulfills us, what brings us joy, what makes us feel loved and accepted. All right, so this work that you're doing is you want to reduce or eliminate any triggers that may come up or any reactions that may come up that give you the evidence that you don't deserve happiness or that you don't deserve fulfillment or that you don't deserve love. Anything that connects you with that feeling of not deserving is what you need to transmute, is what you need to release and let go of. And you can only do, not that you can only do it, but one of the ways that you can do that is through these journaling prompts, through introspection, and really recognizing where the pain is coming from and giving it an outlet for it to be released. All right. Okay, so that's today's message. Tomorrow is Fun Friday, and I'm very excited. So we won't be talking about the 7 steps to healing your inner wounds. It'll give you some time to catch up with the other episodes if you have not. I will be back next week with the rest of that. But tomorrow is Fun Friday, and we're going to have some fun together, and I'm going to be pulling some cards. So I hope that you can make it out for tomorrow. Oh my goodness, Gabby. Hi, my love. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so I know I've had some Canadians on the show today. If you're watching from somewhere else, let me know where you are, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget.